Yo, what up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego. Yeah. This one ain't gonna be too long. I just gotta get some thoughts out. Let's do a quick roll call. Man, we got some stuff to talk about. Oh, hold on. Where y'all at? Where y'all from? Let's get it. City, state, zip. Oh, we lagging. Shout out to Washington. Where y'all at? Where y'all from? Shout out to El Paso, Denver, Colorado. What up, Edgar? What's poppin'? Hold on, the lag should stop soon. You know, give me a second before we... Because I'm running a process on my computer and it's like making it laggy. Give me What up, Fight World? Let's jump into it. Sorry I'm late. The morning show, where y'all at? Where y'all from? Wake that ass up. We back. Yeah. Where y'all at? Where y'all from? Where you at? This is not going to be too long. We got to go straight to work. Where y'all at? Where y'all from? We doing the Boxingego roll call. Daly City. Oh, you up early. Where y'all at? Where y'all from? You know what? Fuck it. We just going in. Wow, because this is not going to be that long. I'm about to go in. We're going to talk about it real quick. I already kept y'all waiting, so fuck the roll call right now. So Abel Sanchez, Team Golovkin, just said some interesting things to Behind the Gloves. He complained about Andrade's style and said Andrade is going to be hard to make anyone interested in Triple G versus Andrade based on his last performance. But then he admitted in the interview that he didn't watch the fight with Walter Katendakwa on DAZN, which sounds ridiculous. How you going to say it's a hard sell and you didn't even watch the fight? You know, he said he was training his fighter in France, but he heard it was like, you know, hard to watch or something. But you can't go off of what you heard on Twitter or, you know, what someone said. He also said, like, what's the point of fighting Charlo? But peep this. What else he said, or another thing he said, was that Rob Brant is an option. Like, once again, here, I'm going to let y'all hear. Shout out to Behind the Gloves.
And if he's rated, then it's something, but really there's no reason. The reason they wanted to fight him before is the WBO belt. Now Andrade has it, and how Andrade looked is going to be difficult to get anybody interested in that fight too.
It's going to be interested to get anyone interested in the Andrade fight based on how he looked versus Walter Cott. He knocked him down 4 times. What?
How did you rate his performance?
I didn't see it, but I read about it. I was in France with another one of my fighters when he was fighting, but everything was so negative. And he's a talented young man. He's a very talented fighter. It just seems like he just does enough to win. He lowers himself to the competition instead of showing the world who he is and forget about who's in front of him. But I've always thought that he was very talented, but his last fight, for some reason, left a lot of questions still unanswered.
What? Hold on. How you gonna not watch a fight and then say the fight left a lot of questions unanswered? How does that even make sense? So you admit on tape that you didn't watch the fight, but then you're criticizing how he looked based on what you heard. Is this real life? Boo Boo knocked the dude down 4 times. He lowers himself. Wow. I'm going to keep going. We ain't done enough. It gets worse.
Jermall Charlo, what do you make of him?
Good fighter, but he has nothing. What does anybody have to gain by
What?
For some reason left a lot of questions still unanswered.
Jermall Charlo, what do you make of him?
Good fighter, but he has nothing. What does anybody have to gain by fighting Charlo? Unless you're a champion and there's somebody that gives you a mandatory or forces you into a mandatory, then yes. But again, what does he bring to the table? They're at the point now. I think both Canelo and Golovkin, as Mayweather was at one point, where it's the fights that make sense for their future, not the fights that makes that these young fighters are asking for. Charlo continues to be idle. Charlo continues. Who's he going to fight? Willie Monroe next? What does that prove? How does that make him qualify for a fight against these elite guys? It's ludicrous.
Now we know that HBO has now closed its...
It's ludicrous? Wow. Hold on.
He defeated a George Groves that...
60 pounds. 168 is a big stretch for him. He walks around at 170, so 160 is the division where I would like for him to see if he can go another run at it. So
now he's saying Golovkin walks around at 170, but a couple years ago, he said nobody from 54 to 68, even guys at 175, would not stand a chance against Golovkin. But now Golovkin, you want to see him stay at 160 because he only weighs 170 in his offseason. But Abel also said, I've been doing this too long. He said that Golovkin could beat Sergey Kovalev, Adonis Stevenson, and Andre Ward at 175. Now you're saying you want him to stay at 160. But you're also saying you want him to stay at 160 and avoid the top black fighters, the black channels. You know, you're basically saying that.
And make some history some more, and then maybe move to 68. But if it's something that Tom presents and if the opportunity is good all the way around, then obviously Gennady will agree to take the fight.
Now, if we take it back to the middleweight division where he's at currently, I mean, it seems as though he's sort of done what most would say he's done it all. He's proven it all at that weight. Is there anyone in particular that you could say that would make sense for him to stay at 160 and face?
No, I think that they're the kind of fights at this point for Gennady are fights that make sense box office-wise and name-wise, name recognition, fights that the fans want to see. There's a lot of very young, good fighters that bring nothing to the table, that need to prove themselves before they can get those kind of fights against a Gennady, against a Canelo, against a Floyd Mayweather. But there is those fights out there that could make sense financially for him. But we'll just fight probably the first quarter of next year.
Listen,
the kid that just beat Murata he's got a title, so that makes sense.
Hold on. I can't even listen. Listen. New fucking media. You heard? He just talked about how other top guys don't deserve a shot because they got to do more. And then he said the kid that just beat Murata, that's an option because it makes sense. Listen, new media. Y'all can be mad at me. I don't care if you hit the dislike button. You already know what it is. Okay, listen. Let's back this train up. He says Golovkin is at a point where his fights have to make box office sense. You know, financial sense. They have to be lucrative, big events. Then he compared Golovkin and Canelo. Canelo's his own person, so we'll take him out because he's balling right now. He Lambo-Nello, and he's doing well for himself. But he compared Golovkin to Floyd Mayweather. And he's like, yeah, it's like how Mayweather picked his fights, which is what I told y'all. Everybody wants to be Money Mayweather, but they don't want to go through the pretty boy Floyd stages. Golovkin hasn't been in the game at a high level for 21 years. So you can't do anything that Floyd has done or Pacquiao's done unless you have the resume that you don't have a Cotto resume. You don't have a resume like none of them. Cotto has a deep resume. Cotto fought Pacquiao, win, lose, or draw. Pacquiao, Mayweather, Sergio Martinez. He fought Zab Judah. He fought Randall Bailey. He fought Paulie Malignaggi. He fought against, who else did Cotto fight? Torres. He fought against DeMarcus Corley. Like, what are we talking about? Kama Guy, Saddam Ali, Joshua Clottey, Shane Mosley. So you can't compare to what past legends did when they were all mixing it up. You know, so Triple G, he's not, in my opinion, he's not in a position where he can pick box office fights. But then to make this even kookier, he said all this box office, Floyd Mayweather stuff, and then really said that they're coming back first quarter and they may face Rob Brant, who just beat Ryota Murata. Wow. It's done. All you man fans, this interview has officially put you in the coffin that I started. It's done. There's nothing. There's no talking your way out of this, bro. He just said what he had to say. That's cool. He's a good trainer. It is what it is. Nothing else needs to be said. And then on top of this, he talked about how Andrade, he left questions. He became a champion. What questions did he leave? Did anybody feel that Walter Katandakwa won the fight? Or did people just give him credit for showing heart and stepping up to the plate last minute? There was no questions. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody questioned who won the fight. He knocked him down 4 times. You would have to get a knockout damn near to come back from that, or knock your opponent down the same amount of times or something crazy. So there were no questions. And then he's talking about he never even watched Andrade's fight because he was training another fighter. Then you're not really qualified to speak on something you didn't see. And he was like, yeah, it's going to be a hard, basically saying it's going to be a hard sell. And you said Rob Brant makes sense because he has a belt. He has a version of the belt. Demetrius Andrade has the full WBO belt, right? Charlo has a version of the WBC belt. And guess what? The WBC told you to fight Charlo, winner gets Canelo. So if you have to listen to the rest of the interview. It's just crazy. Beyond the Gloves has it. Check it out. Shout out to them. This sound crazy. And then the other thing is he's talking about how Canelo needs him and they need to match each other. I don't even care about the trilogy. And that's honest. I'm being so honest with you. I really don't even have a desire to see them fight each other. Canelo could fight Jacobs. Triple G could fight Charlo. You know, winners can fight each other. Maybe if they're both, you know, if they win. But as far as an immediate rematch, no desire. You know, they could fight, but let them face other competition. You know, Canelo's fighting Rocky Fielding. But this is crazy. He said, what has Charlo done? But you talk about Rob Brant could be, wow. Hey, it's a wrap for you boys. We just had to tuck you in. This is what I'm talking about. They could do the drive-by, hit the dislike button, say you full of shit. This is more proof. Like, I thank the man upstairs every day. I thank God. I don't know if he wanted me to be the voice, you know, a vessel, but we've been getting some stuff right this whole year. It's almost like remarkable. I'm like, man, it's like, why is he like, how am I getting this much right? Like predicting this stuff.
Another belt, then there's a there's a belt involved, and if he's rated, then it's something. But really, there's no reason. The reason that we wanted to fight him before is the WBO belt. Now Andrade has it, and how Andrade looked is going to be difficult to.
He's talking about not fighting Billy Joe Saunders because it didn't really make sense because we wanted to fight him when he had a belt.
But I've always thought that he was very talented. But to the table, they're at the point now. What is he?
Listen.
For some reason, left a lot of questions still unanswered.
Jermall Charlo, what do you make of him?
Good fighter, but he has nothing. What is he? What does anybody have to gain by fighting Charlo? Unless you're a champion and is somebody that gives you a mandatory or forces you into a mandatory, then yes. But again, what does he bring to the table? They're at the point now. I think both Canelo and Golovkin, as Mayweather was at one point.
Exactly. There's nothing else that could be said, bro. They're not. Neither Canelo. He lost to Mayweather. Triple G never fought nobody like Mayweather's resume. He never continually faced former champions, current champions, as many of them. He doesn't have dominant performances. Like Mayweather has classic performances. Gotti, you know, Diego Corrales, Ricky Hatton, Canelo. You know, these are all classic performances on what that man did. Triple G don't have that upper echelon type of performances against like highly ranked guys, you know, Hall of Famers. His performance, even the Shane Mosley, that was a god body performance because he was really hurt and he had to bite down and he won every single round. Juan Manuel Marquez, I mean, come on, man. Shout out to Mike B, $5 super chat. This is how we know new media is winning. They compared this guy to Roy and Hopkins. LOL. Keep hitting them with the truth right in the feelings. Ego, man. Like I said, this is vindication. This is exactly what I've been telling you guys, the same shit. Like, I don't want to hear nothing else. I don't want to hear the black channels, all that dumb shit y'all be talking about, because how the fuck does it keep becoming true? Everything that I'm saying is coming true. It'd be one thing if I was just saying a bunch of bullshit and nothing materialized. But all this shit, I told you, Dillian White would not fight Luis Ortiz. He wasn't going to fight Dominic Breazeale. He was going to fight Chisora. What got announced yesterday? Chisora 2. I told you Joshua wasn't fighting wasn't fighting Wilder this year. What happened? He fought Povetkin. He's sitting out the rest of the year. I told you what was up with Triple G and Charlo. Made videos about it. I did a poll the other day. 80%, 7,000 people voted, and 80% of them picked, Jermall Charlo as the number one. He won the poll. The 3 names you could vote for: Jermall Charlo, Ryota Murata, or Boo Boo Andrade. And Boo Boo was second, and then Ryota Murata was the third. And I'm pretty sure I have a good grasp on boxing and the fans. And if you sub Ryota Murata's name with Rob Brant, I know the poll would look very similar, because Rob Brant doesn't have the fan base. So listen, what Abel keeps saying, everything sounds ludicrous and whatnot, right? But what really sounds ludicrous is that you said that Golovkin is similar to Mayweather in any regard, right? Defense, blockbuster sales, being able to pick fights because you've done it all or whatever. That's ludicrous. But beyond that, what is ludicrous is that you said all of that, even if we believe it. Okay, cool. We believe it, right? Then why would you say, oh, Charlo, what did we gain from fighting Charlo? But you're talking about fighting Rob Brant. You would substantially, in the minds of most boxing fans, I'm pretty sure on this, you will gain much more if you defeat Charlo. And you see Abel keeps saying, oh yeah, Demetrius Andrade, he's talented. I've always thought he was talented, but he left questions. Oh, Charlo, he's real good, but what is there to gain unless you're being ordered to fight? You are being ordered. You're not a champion being ordered, but you're still the highest ranking. And it sounds like Triple G is looking the other direction. Oh shit, Charlo. Boxing fights and like this year has pulled a lot of people's card about what they said versus the reality of it. And listen, anybody who wants to judge my poll and say, oh, 7,000, that's not the whole boxing world, I double dog dare Tom Loeffler, Abel Sanchez, and Gennady Golovkin to post the same poll. If you would like whatever they're working on, Ryota Murata or Rob Brant, you can include both of them. You can include one of them, whatever. Put Jermall Charlo's name, put Demetrius Andrade's name, and Rob Brant or Ryota Murata on their verified Twitter accounts. Don't rig it or anything, and let's let the fans honestly vote. Come on, what it would be. So don't people this not to sound pompous, but I'm too smart for these games. You know what I'm saying? Like people, oh, but that's only 7,000 people. So once again, if that's your talking point, then Triple G should post the same poll on his page and let them vote. DAZN or whoever he signs to, let them post a poll. Say, hey, who would you like Triple G to see? We just signed Triple G. Who would you like to see him fight? Ryota Murata, Rob Brant, Jermall Charlo, or Demetrius Andrade on DAZN. If that's where he goes, I don't know. But hypothetically. This shit is too easy. And I told you, I've been saying it. The walls are closing in on Triple G with tough fights. Now the bully, when there's, I use this example, I'll use it again. Triple G is like the bully at the school. Everyone in his school district, in his grade, he had developed and went through puberty faster. So he was bigger than them. They didn't want no smoke with him. That's the middleweight division. But then as soon as the school got some transfers, Jermall Charlo from Houston, Texas, Andrade from the East Coast, Rhode Island, got in this California school now has some transplants. and some transfers from other areas and other regions where they, you know, Southern boys and shit and East Coast dudes, and they grew too. They're about Triple G's size, the bully, his size or bigger. Now all of a sudden Triple G's thinking about going to 168, you know, thinking about Rob Brant. And there's literally, I've already thought this through. There's nothing that Team Triple G can say to me that really justifies this. Because if they admitted defeat to Canelo, then yes. You know, if they... Hey, I'm about to block a member. You know, I don't really care about your membership because I don't have time for games. You know, you can still enjoy the membership perks. That's what's up. But you ain't going to be on these streams. I had to block him. I don't know how that works, but, you know, I'll talk to YouTube about it. You can't just become a member and try to terrorize me or some shit, you know, just because you're a member. I don't think that works. Anyway, Triple G. I mean, it's crazy. Who pays a monthly fee to troll somebody? That's crazy. You know, I'll do a refund or whatever. Just stop it. Yeah, he keeps making an account, but then he signed up for a membership, so I just let him live. But then he keeps saying crazy stuff. He's talking about show me your mom's basement and all shit. I live in California. We don't even have fucking basements. Stupid shit. You know? This is not the East Coast, the Midwest. We don't even have basements here. You know, motherfuckers don't even have front yards sometimes. Like, this is Cali. This is some different shit. We're talking about show basement. I don't have time for it. Anyway, back to the situation at hand. Yeah, it's just looking ugly for Triple G. You know, it's looking real ugly. There's no way to explain it. Like I said, this is the thing. If they admitted defeat to Canelo and said, oh, Canelo bested us, maybe. Here's why. Because if you admit defeat, then you show that this other person was the better man. But Team Triple G keeps gallivanting around saying that we won. Triple G didn't lose that fight. He knows. Here, I'll read a direct quote from you. I wrote it down. Abel Sanchez says, and I quote, Triple G understands the business of boxing. He knows he didn't lose. He may know he didn't get the decision, but he knows he didn't lose to Canelo. I think Canelo is catching the wrath for that. He's definitely not going to retire. Golovkin is the best middleweight in the world right now, and he's going to prove it. See, once again, like, this is chess, not checkers. Abel Sanchez is playing a game that you ultimately can't win because once you apply logic, it won't make sense. You get what I'm saying? You just said he's the best middleweight, but he won't fight any other top guys except for Canelo, who happens to be the huge cash grab, win, lose, or draw. Do you see what I'm saying? So you calling him the best middleweight in the world, that's cool. But that puts more pressure on him. Okay, fight Charlo then. You can't. Why are you saying, oh, Charlo? The bottom line is you guys lost. The judges seen it that way. I seen it that way. A bunch of fighters seen it that way. Maybe some people didn't see it that way. But the official judges, not any of them were Adelaide Bird either. Right? They all seen it that way. So you don't get special treatment in terms of not having to climb back up the ladder because you feel in your heart you won. That would never happen to other fighters, especially minorities and black fighters. There's no way, if Kovalev beat Andre Ward, then, you know, he wouldn't necessarily have this platform to push for the rematch, you know, immediately. Especially when it would be especially for a third one. If Ward lost the second fight, you get what I'm saying? He wouldn't have no grounds to to push for a trilogy fight without doing anything, without, you know, climbing back up the ladder or nothing. You know it. So, like, that, it just looks bad. They put more pressure. Okay, you said Triple G is the best middleweight, but it sounds like they don't want to fight Andrade because of his last fight that you didn't see, but you heard that it wasn't good, even though he knocked down his opponent 4 times, and that's not who he trained for 8 to 10 weeks because Billy Joe Saunders failed a drug test. This is what I'm talking about. What's wrong with boxing? Why would we end up blaming Andrade? That's why I told you my post-fight. I'm not going to blame. I know people are like, oh, what the fuck? He fought an unknown wild card with a totally different style, a different stance. You know, he's an orthodox puncher that's inexperienced, so he's not polished. So he was kind of wild and out of position and shit, you know, and he was training for Billy Joe Saunders, who knows how to move, box, you know, and is a totally different styles, you know. So this was a bad interview to me for Abel Sanchez to do, because it exposed what I've already been saying as the truth, and there's no cutting around it. It's like, it's that he literally said all of this stuff, and like Charlo makes no sense, and said we might fight Rob Brant because he has a belt. Wow. Make that make sense. I dare somebody. We'll do a hot seat right now. I'm ready. I'm ready. Come on, big drama show right now. Make that make sense. Charlo has a version of a belt too, not the real belt, right? Rob Brant has a version of a belt, so, and a loss. Charlo's undefeated. So what makes the Rob Brant fight doable? But then you're questioning, oh, who's Triple G? I mean, he was like, who's Charlo fighting? I mean, Willie Monroe. I mean, you fought Willie Monroe. This whole interview is like laughable. Like, the whole thing is funny. It's like literally like Def Comedy Jam equivalent. Like, the whole thing was funny. He's like, who's Charlo fighting next? He said Charlo's been idle. Who is he fighting next? Willie Monroe. You fought Willie Monroe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Cat's out the bag. It's on Behind the Gloves. He literally said Andrade's going to be a hard fight to make, because, you know, the value based on Andrade's last performance is going to be hard to sell that fight. Actually, I wrote down all the quotes. Oh, this is too easy, new media. He says, Charlo, unless you're a champion and someone orders a mandatory, then yes. But what does Charlo bring to the table? Charlo continues to be idle. Who is he fighting next? Willie Monroe? The way Demetrius Andrade looked is going to be difficult to get anyone interested in a fight with Golovkin. Golovkin and Andrade, basically. He's a very talented guy, but he does just enough to win. Bro, you know, and the other thing is this. What the fuck happened? What does Danny Jacobs not exist? Hey, this look horrible. Hey, this look crazy. What about Jay? He just became a champion. I mean, I didn't. The whole thing's 24 minutes, but I didn't hear nothing immediately about Jacobs. So, what about Jacobs? He already gave you a tough fight. Tell business. He said Abel Sanchez stay giving the media new material to rip him in half. Bro, this was the wrong interview. This ain't it, Chief. This looked horrible. Like I said, what about that? Okay, Andrade, he left too many questions. Even though he's a WBO full champion, you trying to fight a half champion, Rob Brant. And the reason I say half, no disrespect, but I say half because it's not the fully recognized belt. You know, there's too many belts in boxing. So in the grand scheme of things, just like Terrence Crawford said, he said, I don't look at Pacquiao as a true champion. You know, no, not knocking what he's done in the sport, but he has a version of the belt, and we know Keith Thurman is the real champion. So it makes all the sense in the world to fight a half champion, Rob Brant, you know, who has a version of the belt. But there's no way out of this, literally. Jermall Charlo has a half belt. He has a version of a belt. And the WBC told you to fight him to get Canelo. So if you really and truly wanted to fight Canelo, why wouldn't you go the WBC route? Why would you go the Rob Brant route, which I don't even know where Charlo's ranked within the WBA? This is terrible.
enough to win. He lowers himself, Saunders, unless Gennady wins the belt, another belt, then there's a reason, there's a belt involved, and if he's rated, then it's something. But really, there's no reason. The reason that we wanted to fight him before is the WBO belt. Now Andrade has it, and how Andrade looked is going to be difficult to get anybody interested in that fight too.
That's a lie, because I would love to see that fight. Two Olympians.
At the point now, I think both Canelo and
Hello, what do you make of him?
Listen.
Who he is, and forget about who's in front of him. But I've always thought that he was very talented, but his last fight, for some reason, left a lot of questions still unanswered.
Jermall Charlo, what do you make of him?
Good fighter, but he has nothing. What does anybody have to gain by fighting Charlo? Unless you're a champion and there's somebody that gives you a mandatory or forces you into a mandatory, then yes. But again, what does he bring to the table? They're at the point now. I think both Canelo and Golovkin, as Mayweather was at one point, where it's the fights that make sense for their future, not the fights that makes that these young fighters are asking for.
He said the fights that make sense, but then listen.
I mean, it seems
make fights that the fans want to see. There's a lot of.
He just said fights that fans want to see earlier. I'm done.
Wise, name recognition, make fights that the fans.
Listen.
Would make sense for him to stay at 160 and face.
No, I think that they're the kind of fights at this point for Gennady are fights that make sense, box office wise and name wise.
Okay, he said fights that make sense box office wise and name wise.
Name recognition, make fights that the fans want to see.
Fights the fans want to see. Name recognition.
There's a lot of very young, good fighters that bring nothing to the table.
There's a lot of very young, good fighters that bring nothing to the table.
That need to prove themselves before they can get those kind of fights against a Gennady.
Need to prove themselves before they can get a fight with Gennady.
Against a Canelo, against a Floyd Mayweather. But there is those fights out there that could make sense financially for him. But we'll just fight probably the first quarter of next year. The kid that just beat Murata is he's got a title, so that makes sense.
He just said Rob Brant makes sense after, bro. I'm done. He said other guys have to earn it. They have to make financial box office sense. They have to have name recognition. But then he says, the guy that just beat Murata, which is Rob Brant, I mean, he has a belt. That makes sense. This is a duck. Oh, listen, it is what it is. This is the fucking duck. This is Howard the Duck. This is DuckTales. DuckTales. Ooh. There's no other explanation. Like I try to listen to see what people will come. If they don't fight, if they fight Rob Brant, this is a duck. That's what it is. He just said name recognition, things that make financial sense, blockbuster events. You know, you got to earn a shot with guys like elite guys like Triple G, Canelo, and Floyd. But then you're talking about Rob Brant earned it more than Charlo. But then you also said fights the fans want to see. And I did a poll, and everybody said Jermall. Stop. There's no way out of it. There's no way out of it. And like I said, they have fully boxed themselves in. Because even if you say, oh, but Triple G's coming off of a loss, that's true. But they keep saying he won. They keep saying he knows in his mind that he beat Canelo. So why he need a tune-up? He didn't it wasn't not like he got knocked down and, spilled out the ropes or some shit. So what does he need? Listen, what does he need a tune-up for? He knows he won, right? He beat Canelo's ass. So why does he have to regress to a guy who lacks the high level experience? And then what makes it worse is you said Charlo and Andrade, didn't mention Daniel Jacobs from what I heard, but they all got to do more, and those fights don't make sense. They don't have whatever name recognition and box office acclaim. But then you said Rob Brant makes sense because he has a belt. Okay, Daniel Jacobs rematch, he has the full belt. He has the full IBF that you guys lost. You guys lost because you didn't want to fight Derevyanchenko. Danny Jacobs took out your trash. And I'm not calling Derevyanchenko trash. I'm just using the analogy. he took care of your dirty work. Boo Boo has the full regular belt from Billy Joe Saunders. He don't have no belt no more. And you talking about we gonna fight this guy Rob Brant? That makes sense because he has a belt. I'm done. There's no justification. There's literally, and then you keep saying Canelo, and stop. Canelo is his own person. He keeps lumping Triple G in with Canelo. This was a bad interview because none of it makes sense. You know, none of it. There's no way you can make this make sense at all. You know, once again, yeah, you said anyone from 154 to 168 didn't want to fight Ward. Anyone from 154 to 68 only wanted to fight Floyd at 54. Canelo said, come down to 55. I'll give you that work. I'm not ready to move up to 160 yet. I'm the A side. You said, no, he's a middleweight. Make him move up. This is ridiculous. Middleweight fight should happen at 160. You begged and pleaded for people. And see, this is the thing. I feel even more because I vouched for Golovkin, and I like when Sergio Martinez looked like he was ducking and Cotto, I said the same thing. You know, I pressured them. I'm like, hey, you got to vacate the belt if you ain't trying to fight Golovkin. So I did the same thing for Golovkin. But I mean, what his team saying just makes no sense. You know, you talking about fighting Ryota Murata off of a loss because they're both coming off a loss, but you keep telling people you won the fight. There's no way you can make any of this make sense. I've tried to think about it from all different ways. Charlo don't have name recognition, but Rob Brant. These motherfuckers in the comment section right now could not name 3 Rob Brant fights. Ryan Murata, name 2 more without looking it up. You know what I'm saying? So Andrade, he's talented, but what I told you motherfuckers the same thing over and over. Black Murderers Road 2.0. And y'all got mad. Oh, you're bringing up race. Doesn't it look like what I was saying? Okay, so every dope, talented, top black fighter in that middleweight division, there's a convenient scapegoat and fire escape as to why Triple G shouldn't fight them. Danny Jacobs, I don't even know what the excuse is for that. Boo Boo, apparently he left questions, even though he knocked his opponent down 4 times, and he does just enough to win. You know? But and it'll be hard to build interest. But Rob Brant is just right up everyone's alley, you know, for Triple G. Ryota Murata, with the fight they were trying to make. You know, we need financial box office success, you know, but Charlo doesn't bring that. Even though everyone keeps saying that they want to see Charlo Triple G, that I see. You know? So, like always, and then the Vanes Martirosyan thing, this is a terrible look, you know? What happened to Mexican style? What happened to Abel saying black fighters fight in an unpleasing style? But now the argument is Charlo, it's not that he's unpleasing, he's an unpleasing black style. The argument now is what's in it for us? There's no real gain if we fight him. Wow. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Charlo, unless you're a champion and someone orders a mandatory, then yes. But what does Charlo bring to the table? Charlo continues to be idle. Well, he's trying not to be idle against Golovkin. He's called him out several times, including his last in-ring fight, post-fight on Showtime cameras. I was there at the Barclays Center. Broner versus Vargas card with Gervonta Tank Davis and Jesus Cuellar. You know, this is a bad look. It's a bad look, y'all. I watched the Murata fight. Rob Brant ain't no light touch. You sound stupid as hell. Who cares? It's not about like it has nothing to do. Please, because this. If I want you to vouch for that. You will not beat me in this hot seat. I promise you. I'm too on. I'm too sharp. I'm too fast. Please don't do that. Because what you're saying, that's cool. This is not about Rob Brant being a terrible fighter at all. It has nothing to do with saying he's, I'm not, he beat Murata, cool. All of what Abel Sanchez said makes no sense. Shout out, we got a new member. K Wizen, welcome. Everybody throw some clap emojis up for K Wizen. And he got the Nate Diaz. I fuck with Nate Diaz. Shout out to Stockton 209. He got the Nate Diaz picture. Shout out to you. I just hope it's not Mystic Mac. But anyway, it's not about Rob Brant being a light touch. It's everything Abel says doesn't add up. He says it's about name recognition at this point. So Rob Brant has name recognition and box office acclaim. You know, Edislandi Lara. This is the story. This has been Triple G's, you know, the height of his career. Edislandi Lara been calling for the smoke. I think Triple G probably would have beat Lara, but I don't know now. I don't even know because they never took him up on it. Maybe Lara would have fucking used his feet and pot shotted Golovkin's head off. I don't know. I always thought Golovkin would be too aggressive, too strong, but they never fought him to find out. And then the worst part about it is this. You saying all this name recognition and this and that and all that, but come on, be real. Edislandi Lara don't have enough name recognition. Demetrius Andrade don't have enough name recognition. Andre Ward don't have enough name recognition. Jermall Charlo, Danny Jacobs, who already gave you a tough fight. This is Black Murderers Row 2.0, like I said, and there's nothing else that needs to be said. It is what it is. You motherfuckers can get mad, hit the dislike, but you see it. You see it. You know, oh, they got to do more and to fight the elite names like Canelo and Triple G. Like it's such a privilege for Charlo to grace the ring with Triple G as if he's, you know, done what Ray Robinson did or Mayweather or Pacquiao or Eric Morales. Stop it. You know, they didn't take no smoke up with Edislandi Lara. Didn't take no smoke with Zurdo Ramirez, Badu Jack, Andre Ward. You know, and the all this name recognition. So are we really gonna act as if Jermall Charlo has less, like he's less known? Like I know Jermall Charlo's moniker. I don't know Rob Brant if he has a moniker. You know how Errol Spence got Man Down and Charlo's got Lions Only. Rob Brant used to train with Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? They used to spar and all that. And he used to be trained by Derrick James. I don't even know if he has a moniker because I've watched him before. He's a good fighter. But, you know, you keep saying all these other, like an Olympian who's a champion with the real championship belt. You know, Andrade, he has to do more to fight the elite. You see, man, stop it. And then, like I said, there's no way out of this at all. Because the other thing you have to analyze is this. You keep saying all these excuses why these other top fights, these are the best guys in the middleweight division. Do you get what I'm saying? These are the best guys in the middleweight division. Or at least that's the public perception until otherwise proven. You know, like opposite Canelo and Triple G, these guys are the ones that are received as the best other fighters. Charlo, Andrade, and Jacobs. And it doesn't sound like they want to smoke with none of them. But what makes it bad is like all this name recognition and box office success. And we're at the point where Triple G was never doing no pay-per-view numbers like that. The only time he did over 1 million was with Canelo. And this dude posted a picture of fucking the Joker costume and get 1 million likes or some shit. Right? But when Triple G, he wasn't no box office killer. Why? And Abel's comparing himself to, or comparing Triple G to Mayweather? Really? Really? He don't have the stripes. He don't have the accolades. He don't have the resume, body names. He hasn't done the box office success. Abel's making it sound like Triple G is on Canelo's level or Mayweather's level or Conor McGregor's level. He's not doing no numbers like them. Conor McGregor just did 2 million plus versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Triple G ain't never done that. Canelo has. Floyd has 3 times. 4 times. De La Hoya, Canelo, McGregor, and Pacquiao. Those all did over 2 million. 2 to 4 or something million. He set records. Triple G ain't set no records like that for pay-per-view buys. But beyond that, in closing, all this name recognition, and it's a special privilege to fight Triple G. then how did Willie Monroe and Dominique Wade? Okay, he was a mandatory, but the WBC is telling you to fight Charlo, so it's basically like a mandatory. It's an eliminator. And then you sound like you don't want no smoke. Triple G is talking about staying at 160, but not fighting any of the guys with a belt, except for Canelo in a trilogy. You know what? He keeps saying all this name recognition stuff. That's cool. Name recognition. Adama had that. I'm done. You guys, like I said, new media. We the gang. Y'all can get mad and believe whatever you want. Shout out to Behind the Gloves for the interview. You guys take a listen to it. And I read direct quotes, played it. You guys judge. I hope Canelo never fights Triple G, or at least not anytime soon. You know, because this is getting ridiculous in boxing. We got to stand up for something. You know, what happened to all the Mexican style and all that? So, what's a more Mexican style fight? Jermall Charlo? Andrade, Rob Brant, Danny Jacobs already gave you a tough fight, you know. Black Murderers Road 2.0. I'm out.